John Boatman.
Good morning, all. It's 29 minutes past 9. We are ready to start the day's proceedings. Please make sure that your cell phones are off or on silent, your devices. Let's not disturb the proceedings. Thank you. Please stand.
Good morning, Mr. Skakane.
Good morning, Chair and the Commissioners.
Good morning, Mr. Loftus.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Chair, just for context, we are continuing with the stream of KZN gangs and the infiltration, or what we contend to be the infiltration of the law enforcement by the KZN gangs in whatever form, but we'll get through that. And the witness that we have today is Mr. Gregory Loftus, and I'd like him to be sworn in.
Mr. Loftus, will you be swearing or affirming?
I'll swear.
Do you swear that the evidence you are going to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just as a way of background relating to the witness is the father to the late Mr. Bevan Loftus, who was killed in a shootout with police, and his evidence fits within that context. And then as we go through, we'll then see how it fits in the entire stream.
Thank you.
Thank you. You should have 4 files before you. There's a statement file 1, which contains the statement of Mr. Gregory Loftus. I know there were a number of file 1, but it's that statement, if you can locate it. Then there's file 2, which contains primarily the application and the voice recording, and then there's file 3. File 4, for present purposes, perhaps you can pen it away. Then we'll start with file 1, page 1, which is the beginning of the statement of Mr. Loftus. Mr. Loftus, you have that file before you?
Yes, with my statement, yes.
With your statement?
Yes.
Correct. Do you confirm that this is your statement that you prepared for the commission?
Yes, I do confirm.
All right. And is there anything in that statement that you feel, at least for now, that you don't agree with?
No, there isn't anything I don't agree with.
But in any event, feel free to, if there is any issue, to raise it.
I'll do that.
Thank you.
Our copies of the statement are not signed. Are there signed copies?
Thank you, Chair. I think, can I request that it be signed after?
During the tea break?
Yes, during the tea break, apologies.
All right.
I think it was just because of the travel and there are certain logistics
All right.
that we couldn't sign it that way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Loftus, as we would start initially, the form of your evidence is that we'll give you an opportunity to go through your statements.
Okay.
Thereafter, we will then ask some questions that we have relating to your evidence, and the commissioners will ask certain questions or clarity-seeking questions or probing questions for that matter at the end. But it may be that during the reading of your statement, we also have questions that we'd rather have them at least answered there and then.
Okay.
Thank you. May you then proceed to read your statement starting from paragraph 1.
Okay. I see on the screen here, some stuff is redacted. It's fine if I don't say my addresses and stuff.
Yes, please. In fact, those personal details like your address and ID number, please don't mention, or the names of other persons.
Okay. I'm an adult male, 61 years old. I reside on the Bluff in Durban. The contents of the statement are within my personal knowledge, save where the contrary appears from the context hereof, and are, to the best of my belief, both true and correct. Where I rely on information from other persons, I do indicate where the context so shows. I am the father of the late Bevan Loftus, who I strongly believe was murdered in cold blood on the 1st of April 2023. Bevan was murdered by the police under the guise of a legitimate police operation and at the instance of Clive Nyka, a competitor of Bevan in the tow truck industry and an alleged drug dealer. I will deal with the incident on more detail below. At the time, Bevan was with four of his friends, with whom he was hiding because he had been warned that Captain Dina Island, alias Dina Govender, who is a captain we know as Captain Dina Govender of the SAPS, was intending to kill him. The events that I describe in this affidavit occurred several years ago, and I may not recall some of the details. If I recall events after submitting the statement, I will either submit a supplementary statement or elaborate thereon during my testimony. On March 31, 2023, the day before my son was murdered, I deposed to an affidavit in support of an interdict application which was issued that day and which sought inter alia to interdict Captain Dina Govender and the SAPS from murdering my son. If I can just say something here before I go on. It says here in support of an interdict application which was issued. The interdict wasn't issued, it was the summons that was issued. Is a correction there? Okay. A day after the application was issued, Captain Dina Govender and a group of SAPS officers under his command murdered my son anyway. I attach as Annexure GL1 the notice of motion and founding affidavit in the support of the interdict application which I had issued on 31 March 2023. I confirm the correctness of my founding affidavit in that application. That application, of course, does not deal with the circumstances around my son's murder because I deposed to it the day before my son was murdered. For reasons of convenience, I therefore repeat many of those facts in the present affidavit before going on to address the murder of my son. Captain Dina's deposed to an answering affidavit in that application, which affidavit is of technical points and appears to be protecting Mr. Clive Nyka. I am not formally employed. I provide panel beating services on an ad hoc basis.
Sorry, before you proceed, I just want us to go to GL1, which is an attachment to your statement. Just to confirm, is that the application you are referring to?
Yes, this is it. This is the application.
Thank you. Please proceed with paragraph 7.
Okay, I am not formally employed. I provide panel beating services on an ad hoc basis. I am the registered owner of 3 residential properties situated on the bluff. That one of the properties belongs to a trust, of which I am a trustee. I reside at my premises with my wife, and Bevan and his family lived at the adjacent house to mine. My other son, Nicholas, and his wife, Melissa Loftus, currently use the property, one of the properties, as a creche, or should I say a CD something. It's not actually a creche, it's a higher learning. It's for older children. The property at number 1, at where Bevan lived, was occupied by Bevan and his family from June the 20th. I have a history of approximately 20 years of service with the South African Police Service. I joined the police in 1986, where I was based in Langlagte in Johannesburg. I was transferred back to KwaZulu-Natal in the early part of 1987, where I was based in Wentworth Police Station as a constable. I temporarily left the police from 1989 to 1992. I rejoined the police SANAB in 1992. SANAB is SANAB, South African Narcotics Bureau. I held the rank of detective in 1992. Later in that year, I joined the Child Protection Unit. I went back to be based at the Wentworth Police Station in 1993. Although I cannot particularly remember the given passage of time, I left the police in 2009 because I had been victimized at the Wentworth Police Station, and that was taking a toll on me and my family. At that time, I held the rank of a warrant officer. After I left the police, I worked in the construction industry for various companies on short contract basis. Bevan did his matric during 2007 and 2008. He failed his matric, and consequently I sent him to do courses which he could use to sustain himself. The courses relate to welding. After completing the courses, Bevan joined me in the construction industry. He focused on welding testing and worked mostly with me. We were able to sustain our family and accumulated some savings, which Bevan used to buy and sell cars for profit. He was a business-minded person. Later on, with my assistance, he became involved first in the taxi industry and later in the towing industry. During 2005, Bevan bought a towing van which he used for his towing business. The business was registered as First for KZN, Towing, Panel and Paint, and has an office and vehicle storage facility in Clearwood, where he conducts his daily business. I do not know much about that industry. Safe to say, I know that there were the Durban South, the Durban Central, and Durban West regions. He operated in the Durban South region, which covers the following areas, namely the Bluff, Wentworth, Oosterville, Merebank, Jacobs, Clearwood, and Seaview up to the N2. His biggest competitor was the Durban South Towing, which is owned by a person I know as Alan Subramani. The towing industry is lucrative. I do not know details of the industry rules, but I was aware that operators operated within particular regions, not because of routes or permits, but because of understandings.
Sorry, Mr. Loftus, can I just stop you there? I just want to understand. You say the towing industry was lucrative. Can you just explain what do you mean with that statement?
Yeah, there was money to be made. You know, if you had enough vehicles with enough drivers, you made a lot of money. So it was the lucrative, I say, is dependent on obviously how many vehicles you have. Okay, but there is money in the towing industry. It pays well. Okay. At the time of his death, Bevan had 12 tow trucks, 6 of which were operating. Bevan's towing business sustained him and his family. He primarily relied on it for income. I assisted him with the business on the panel beating and mechanical side. Bevan also used the house, my house, in which he lived, to store vehicles which had been towed and were undergoing repair. We live in the Bluff area, which is, I need to correct that. We live in the Bluff area, which is gang infested. It's supposed to be, we live in the Bluff area, and Wentworth is actually from the area we come from. That is gang infested, not the Bluff. Okay, the Wentworth area was gang infested, where there has been a lot of violence. Bevan had friends and business associates that were allegedly involved in gangs and other criminal activities. The tow truck industry also saw a lot of violent crime. Gang violence involving the tow truck industry started in Wentworth during 2020. Bevan, his friends, and his drivers started being shot at by the members of a drug gang called the Cartel.
Do you have any idea why that was so?
At first, no, but we'll come to that. I'll explain it at a later stage.
All right.
Okay, his friend Antonio Goldstone, who was 21 years old, was shot and killed by members of the Cartel in his flat in Wentworth. A case of murder has been opened, but no arrests have been made. Antonio had previously been shot in his shoulder at the same flats where he lived whilst walking home. Since 2020, 5 of Bevan's drivers had been shot. In one incident, one of the drivers, Colin Pillay, was shot and killed on the N2 in Isipingo, and in another incident, a passenger of one of the employees, Nhlaganipo Dube, was shot and killed in Galma Crescent, Merebank, on the 10th of July, 2021. No one has been charged with the crimes yet. They were witnesses to all the incidents. However, I have come to know that 2 of the suspects are now deceased. The SAPS police dockets that refer to these incidents are Sipingo Case 14 of 9/2022, and the investigating officer at the time was Detective Bengu, and there was another case open.
Sorry, Mr. Loftus, please don't read out the case numbers.
Okay, sorry about that. In another incident, one of Bevan's drivers, Brenton Capture, was at a shop in Wentworth and was shot at but managed to flee unarmed. A while later, the same driver's father was seated on his veranda with his son and was killed in a drive-by shooting. The incidents were registered under a Wentworth case. A friend of Bevan, a friend of Bevan and his wife were shot in Tiflin Road in Wentworth while he was taking his wife to work. His wife was injured and he was hospitalized for a few months due to the severity of the injuries. He is now in rehabilitation to assist him to walk again. This shooting incident is also registered at the Wentworth police station. In another incident, one of Bevan's ex-drivers, Denzel De Silva, was shot while awaiting his food order in Wentworth. He survived the shooting incident. A colored male by the name of Deon Ismail Wood was arrested for the shooting and is currently in Westfield Prison. A police docket that refers to this case is a Wentworth case. I now turn to the events leading to the murder of Bevan and his friends. The allegations against Bevan. There are allegations that Bevan was involved in drugs or killing people. I deny that. As far as I know, he lived from income received from his towing and taxi business. He did not live a flamboyant life and lived modestly. I have been in the service. I would have had some idea if Bevan was involved in drugs or in the killing of people. I vehemently dispute those allegations. The narrative that Bevan and his friends were involved in drugs were a cover-up by the police to justify hunting him and ultimately killing him. I now deal with the police harassment in the course of them hunting Bevan.
If I may just pause you there. You say you dispute these allegations. Do you still stand by that version?
Yes, let me just elaborate. When I say I dispute these allegations, Bevan's been living at the premises next door to me from 2020, beginning of 2020. I can go on to say that as a father, I'm not with him all the time. I can comment on when I'm with him. I don't know what he does or what he did when he wasn't with me, but in my presence and while he was living at that premises, I did not see any evidence of any of the allegations.
Okay, please proceed.
Okay, the harassment and intimidation by the police began in 2022. But it is important that I set out the context which I believe is important and basis for the harassment. During 2022, both Bevan and myself received information that there was an assassination contract put on Bevan's life in the amount of 2.5 million. I also received information from a policeman I know that the hit on my son, Bevan, was genuine. The word was that I should be careful because if they cannot kill Bevan, they would kill my son, Nicholas, or myself. My son, Nicholas, was a Bolt taxi operator and had to cease operating because of the threat on his life and subsequently lost his income and the vehicle. Bevan and I were informed that Clive Nyker put up the 2.5 million contract to kill Bevan. On 23rd of January 2023, Bevan called Nyker, Clive, and confronted him in this regard. I have submitted a recording of that call to the Commission. A transcript of that call is attached as GL2.
Sir, before you proceed, can we then turn to GL2, which should be page 112 of that same file?
Yeah, this is it, yes.
This is, and Commissioners, may I request to play this video, I think this telephone recording at this present moment?
Shouldn't,
Or should we?
is this not the first mention? Because I think in the statement, the witness says he deals more fully or extensively with the recording at a later stage.
Yes,
and
he does.
indeed he does do so, and also he does draw his own conclusions about. Shouldn't you do it at that later stage?
I'll take your guidance.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, let's do it that way.
Thank you. Please proceed, Mr. Loftus.
I will deal in more detail with the call below. For present purposes, I submit that it proposes strong evidence that Nyker was behind the 2.5 million hit on Bevan's life. Okay, the incident of the 13th of December 2022. On Tuesday, the 13th of December 2022, I was at my home when I saw a number of policemen at Bevan's house. There must have been approximately 20 to 30 members, some in plain clothes, while others were in uniform, including the dog unit, the NIU, Vehicle Pound Unit, and Metro Police. I went outside and saw members of the police walking up my driveway. I took out my cell phone and started video recording them. There were two policemen outside Bevan's gate in civilian clothes. I jumped over the fence into Bevan's yard and approached them at the gate. One of the police officers, who later became known to me as Warrant Officer Sivan Naidu, shouted at me not to record anything. He asked for Bevan's cell phone number and his whereabouts, which I did not know. He told me to open the remote control gate, which I could not do as I did not have the remote in my possession. He told a white captain from the NIU, which is the National Intervention Unit, to arrest and handcuff me. I was not informed of why I was being arrested. However, that could happen. However, before that could happen, I threw my cell phone to my son, Nicholas. One of the policemen grabbed hold of my son, Nicholas, and choked him and took my cell phone from him. I asked the warrant officer...
Sorry, for clarity, you were not arrested eventually. You were arrested twice on later occasions.
I was arrested then. I think I'm still coming to that, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
I asked the warrant officer, S. Naidu, why they were looking for Bevan. He told me that they were from the New Hawks anti-gang unit and that they were there and that there were 2 attempted murder cases from the Bulair police station against him. I inquired as to who charged Bevan, but he said that it was private and he could not divulge the information. I asked who the investigating officer was, and a sergeant governor stepped forward and spoke to me. He wanted to leave his contact details with me for Bevan to contact him, but Warrant Officer Sivan Naidu shut Sergeant Governor down and instructed him not to give me any details. Warrant Officer Naidu told the captain to force the gate open, which he did with a pry bar. Warrant Officer Naidu knew that I was an ex-policeman, and he then told me that he was charging me for not cooperating and withholding information, hence the defeating the ends of justice charge. One of Bevan's employees, Eckert van der Bijl, was working on the premises and was assaulted by an NIU officer, which incident was recorded by the CCTV cameras. Eckert was also assaulted later on that day by a uniformed policeman, I should say. Sometime after the initial police raid, Captain Dina Governor, Constable Ian Ronnie of the Metro Police, and another captain unknown to me, arrived at the premises. I later established that
Sorry. This is exactly what confused me, and I thought you were not arrested when you referred to just before the arrest happened. And now you say sometime after the initial police raid, and eventually the incident you are referring to now does result in an arrest.
No.
So what's the sometime after the initial?
When I say
police
time,
raid?
I don't mean a long time. It was like a matter of minutes. So it's a very short space of time because I've got a long driveway. I'd say it's about between 50 meters probably and 60 meters. So by the time that I walked, they walked me up to the garage is at the top end of that 60 meters. So by the time I got there, Dina and Ian Ronin had arrived.
Okay.
So
And how do you separate the raids? You refer to an initial raid. So if the people are there throughout and they eventually arrest you, what's an initial raid and what other raid is there? Because if you talk about initial, then there must be some other.
Where is that? Let me just go back to that.
Paragraph 36.
36. On one of Bevan's employed, Eckhart van der Weyl, was working on the premises and was assaulted by an NAU officer, which incident was recorded on TV. Eckhart was also assaulted later on that day by an uniform, sometime after the initial raid. Okay, what I mean there is when Sivan and them were at the gate. That's when it started. That's what I'm implying. Okay.
Can I I'm sorry about this. Can I take you back to paragraph 34? You say you were asked for Bevan's cell phone number and his whereabouts, which you did not know. I assume it's the whereabouts that you did not know. Obviously, you knew Bevan's cell phone number.
No, I did not. He changes his number quite often. Yeah,
also, it was both that you did not know, both the cell number and the
his
whereabouts. Okay,
yes.
all right. Thank you. Please go back to where you were and continue reading.
Okay, Conservani, Captain unknown to me arrived at there. Okay, I later established that Constable Ian Ronnie from the Metro Police was off duty and arrived in his private vehicle. There appeared to be no reason why an off-duty member of the Metro would be involved in the police action on that day. Bevan's house, where he lived, was locked, and Constable Ronnie gave the go-ahead for the other policemen to force the kitchen security gate open, which was the NIU captain, and which he did. I asked them whether they had a search warrant, which they could not produce, and I was told that they did not need one. I told them that I do not live at that address and did not have keys to the premises. They insisted I enter the house with them. I asked that only 2 policemen enter for control purposes because I did not know if there were any valuables or cash in the house and did not want to be responsible for anything going missing. Many police members entered and went into different areas of the house without any supervision. A young man, namely Michigan Hippolyte, who was then 19 years old, is now deceased, was asleep inside the house. Constable Ian Ronnie from the Durban Metro picked up 2 Chinese-manufactured two-way radios from the shelf in the kitchen and said that they were police scanners. Constable Ian Ronnie and one of the Sivan Naidu took Michigan into the bathroom and questioned him about Bevan's whereabouts. I saw Constable Ian Ronnie push Michigan's head into the bath with water and hold it there on 2 occasions while Michigan struggled to breathe. I interviewed and told Constable Ian Ronnie to stop what he was doing to Michigan. He then stopped. Various other items, including 2 pellet guns and empty cartridge casings, including 9mm shells, a Ronnie rifle frame, which housed Bevan's Glock 9mm handgun, were taken. Later, I was informed that an AK-47 round was also allegedly found. I informed the policeman that both Bevan and his wife were licensed 9mm firearm holders.
Sir, Mr. Luftus, just before we move off that, did Mr. Bevan own any high-caliber rifle or assault rifle?
No, he didn't at that stage, no.
At that stage?
Yeah.
Okay. When did he own it?
Let me just correct what I said. He registered a security company and he had applied for firearms. They were shotguns, but they actually were in the license of being processed, which didn't materialize. Okay, so yeah.
Did he own any AK-47?
No, he did not.
Okay, thank you.
Um,
Paragraph 40.
Very 40. Bevan sometimes towed vehicles at his address when his business premises were full. The policeman scanned the disc on a Renault Duster motor vehicle which was legally towed and stored with the owner's consent during the floods storm which occurred in April 2022. When the policeman, called it up and it came up as a stolen on a Brighton Beach case, the Brighton Beach policeman had previously come to the premises with the owner to remove the vehicle. However, the vehicle was left at the premises and had attracted storage charges which the owner had not paid. We showed the police the legal documentation together with the newspaper advertisement in the independent newspaper on Thursday, 21 July 2022, indicating that the vehicle would be sold to defray costs. After seeing the documents, the police left. I was then forced to open the garage, which I did under duress without a search warrant. My old police issued bulletproof vest and handcuffs were hanging on the wall in a bag, which was covered in dust and insect droppings, mess. I informed them that it was my issue, which had been hanging on the wall for the last 15 years. When I resigned in 2009, they only took my service pistol, and I kept all my uniforms and other equipment.
Sorry, just before you go there, out of interest, aren't you under an obligation to hand back all the tools of trade?
Some of them, yes. The bulletproof vest should have been handed back, but if I can just explain how it remained in my possession. When I resigned in 2009, I went to the station commissioner and told him that I am resigning. I had accumulated 9 months vacational leave over the years. And at that time, I don't know if it's changed now, if you left voluntary or resigned, you lost your leave, whatever leave you had accumulated, and you didn't get paid out for it. So I said to him, I want to resign. Can he please sign my accumulated leave, which amounted to 9 months? He refused to do that. He actually said to me that he won't do it because if he signs it and the 9 months leave is completed, I probably will withdraw the resignation. So I said to him, okay, let me post-date the resignation and he can keep it in his safe, and on that date he can submit it. So I had my firearm with me. I handed in my firearm. The bulletproof vest was still at home, in the garage, because we didn't really wear it. So I left almost immediately. I went to Secunda where I had employment. So I hardly came home. It was every now and again on a weekend. So I didn't have the opportunity to hand it in, and to be honest with you, I totally forgot about it. And as well, none of them actually came to me and reminded me or came to looking for it to hand it in. So I totally forgot about it. Okay.
Can I just to clarify, this garage you referred to at paragraph 41, is this at your property or where Bevan
That's where Bevan
lived?
was living.
Okay.
Yeah. But I used to live there previously.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was subsequently falsely charged for obstructing or defeating justice because I did not know Bevan's cell phone number and whereabouts, and also could not open the gate. Impersonating a policeman, possession of state property, possession of a stolen motor vehicle, possession of ammunition, which was a .357 Magnum rounds and 1 AK-47 bullet, which was allegedly found on the premises at Bevan's house.
Just on that paragraph 42.5, you say allegedly. Do you dispute that?
Yes, I dispute it. Firstly, if I can just explain further, Commissioners, the .357 Magnum rounds, I'm a licensed firearm holder of that caliber of weapon. And on the day, there was a captain from the Durban Central actually asked me if I have a firearm, which I said I do. So he went with me to my premises next door and he took possession of my firearm. The AK-47 bullets, I know nothing of that.
Let me get this. You were in possession of state property because you had the bulletproof vest, the uniform, and the handcuffs. So why would that charge be false if, even on your own version, you forgot to hand them back?
I wouldn't say that charge is false because I agree with you, commissioners, because it was in my possession. Yes. But I'm saying it wasn't maliciously in my possession because the implication on the day was that I read from Captain Governor and Warrant Officer 7 ideas that I'm using it for malicious purposes. That's why when it was taken off the wall, it was hanging on the wall, I actually said to them, please take a photograph of the condition of that bag to show that it wasn't open because there are a whole lot of insect droppings on it in the zip area. So I wouldn't say that's false. It's not false because I was in possession of it.
And the badge, where was the badge?
No, they didn't find the badge.
The badge, did you hand it back, the badge?
No, I didn't. I destroyed it because they didn't take it. And there are other policemen that will tell you the same, that they also left with their badges and they themselves destroyed it.
Thank you.
Just for context, Commissioner Kumalo, I think the photos relating to that raid are in the bundle. Just, I don't know, in the interest of time, whether you want to go through them, but the one of the badge, of the bulletproof vest and the handcuffs appeared page 951, which is file 2. And 952, and then you'll see the rounds going forward. I don't know whether you need to see them physically.
I think my concern with the statement was the allegation that he was falsely charged for possession of state property. And I'm saying the charge can be false if you are in unlawful possession of state property.
Yes, I think the witness has answered it, yes.
So maybe in similar vein, just clarify, the vehicle, the Renault that you say was on the property, it had you do explain that how the circumstances in which it ends up there, but you also say that when they checked, they found that it was still reported as stolen property. So at this point, it had not yet been taken off the stolen property or stolen motor vehicle report. Is that what it means?
That's correct, Commissioner, but if I can just elaborate on that. What had happened in this particular case, according to what I was told, why it was in his possession is because it was flooded. It was underwater during the floods in 2022. So that whoever towed it, called to the scene, had to salvage it. In other words, not just tow it, had to rescue it or recover it from that water. And then the insurance didn't want to pay for it. It was some kind of a dispute that took place. So he wanted the vehicle without paying. So this happens used to happen when I was a policeman as well. The owner would go to the police and report it stolen, so that the police can come and recover it, and he doesn't have to pay the cost of the salvage, recovery, and the storage as well. And this is what I think happened on this day. That's why because I didn't witness the transactions between them, but I was kept up to date by Bevan about that vehicle. And he said to me, this is what's happening. Insurance doesn't want to pay the owner, and he doesn't want to pay cash out of his pocket as well. So in my understanding, that's why I went to the police and reported it stolen. So it actually wasn't really stolen. And if I can add on to that as well, this used to happen quite regularly when I was younger in the police. That owners used to come in, open cases of vehicles can be recovered. Then at some stage there was a circular that was sent to stations to say that the police are not to get involved in those transactions anymore. That's purely civil. So we stopped doing that.
Thank you.
If I can, I don't know if your commissioners, if you're interested in knowing about the impersonating a policeman. If I give you the background on that. That charge is, when they came, Dinner and 7, when they entered the premises at the garage, Dinner Governor related to me that he knows about me. He knows I was working at Sanab with Warrant Officer Swanepoel, Warrant Officer Jones at that time, who's now retired. He retired as a colonel. And another gentleman who worked with us as a reservist. His name was Sunil Kara. That was our team. And he even said, he watched us and we did some good work. And he knows that I've left the force. And he knows everything about me. Before he came, he did an inquiry, and he knows that I own the 3 houses. So with the impersonating, they implied that I said to them that I'm still presently a captain in the police. That's how that impersonating charge came about. Yeah, okay. I protested against the charges because I do not live on the premises and I have no keys or remote to enter the premises. Captain Dina Govender, Warrant Officer Sivan Naidu, said I was being charged because I owned the premises. They took me and I was detained at Durban North Police Station from Tuesday, the 13th of December 2022, and I attended the Durban Court 10 and Thursday, the 15th of December 2022, and was remanded to Westwood Prison for 7 days, for a formal bail application, that is. On appearing at Durban Court 10 on the 22nd of December 22, I was released on a 3,000 rand bail, and the case was later withdrawn. Early this year, in 2026, I was visited by Sergeant Koluse from the Hawks, who informed me that they are putting the matter back in court. They asked for a copy of my registration confirmation of the property situated at the address where Bevan lived. He said there was a search warrant and the court wanted to know whether they had searched the correct house. He also asked for a copy of my firearm license, which I later sent to him. It emerged from Sergeant Governor that the raid on our family homes on the 13th of December 2022 was ostensibly related to the 2 Belair dockets, which are both Belair cases. Bevan had no knowledge of these cases and was never contacted by the Belair police officers who were assigned these cases. I later established that the Belair cases had been signed out by Captain S. Naidu and assigned to Warrant Officer T. Naidu from Durban Central Detectives on the 4th of December 2022. The dockets were returned a week later. Bevan was not contacted in that time, and we have never seen any evidence suggesting that there was any case against him.
Sorry, just to clarify certain things, you talk of Sergeant Govender. Is that someone different to Captain Govender?
That is somebody totally different to Captain Govender.
And then there is Captain Naidu.
It was Captain Govender, it was Warrant Officer Naidu.
Okay.
And Sergeant Govender.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Please proceed at 46.
At 46. Whilst I was in custody at Westwood Prison on December the 22nd, I received a message from Bevan's best friend Marlon Stewart, who's known as Sticks, that's his nickname, and another male known to us as David, who is a tow truck driver for Durban South Towing. They were shot and killed near Moses Mabhida Stadium. Bevan knew both deceased as he grew up with them, and Marlon was his best friend. According to Captain Dina Governor and Warrant Officer Sivan Naidu, Bevan and his manager, Hendrik Nunez, were persons of interest in the matter. This was mentioned to me and Bertie Lang, who was my attorney, by the officers. The allegation was suggesting that Bevan was involved in the murder of Marlon and David is fanciful. Marlon and David were his close friends. Moreover, Bevan was in Johannesburg when they were shot and killed. Okay. Sometime in January 2023, Bevan came home one day and told me he got a phone call from a friend that is in the Sydenham Taxi Association together with Clive Nyker. The friend told Bevan to be careful because Mr. Clive Nyker had put a hit on him. Apparently, no photos of Bevan or details of his appearance had been circulated, but word was out that Bevan lived in the Bluff area and drove a white BMW and a white Toyota Bucky. Bevan informed me that his friend had advised him not to drive those vehicles and stay off the streets. On 25 January 2023, Hendrik Noonans was at Bevan's home as he had just returned from Port Elizabeth, having purchased a motor vehicle. He, Hendrik Noonans, came to talk to Bevan about Captain Varley, who works at Brighton Beach SAPS. He's a captain in the detectives. He was bothering him about a motorcycle that one of the drivers recovered at an accident scene and was now in storage at Bevan's storage yard. Captain Varley wanted the bike released free of charge. Bevan indicated that he was going to call Captain Varley. I advised him not to do so. I told him that Captain Varley was working with Captain Dina Govender, and Varley didn't like Bevan. He had issues with Bevan on previous occasions. I advised Bevan that the Hawks had failed to arrest him on the Belair cases because there was no evidence, and by calling Captain Varley, he would start something. I told Bevan that he must be careful of what he says to Captain Varley because he will open an intimidation case, and that will give Captain Dina Governor a reason to pick him up because there was no other reason to do that, other than that. Bevan nevertheless called...
Sorry, Mr. Loftus, let me ask. At this point where you are warning Bevan about Captain Govender, or Colonel Govender, what did you know about Colonel Govender to do with Bevan at this point when you give him this warning?
Not Captain Varley, the warning?
So you say that you warned him not to call Captain Varley?
Yes.
Because if he does that, then it would give Dina Govender
Yes. Okay, I see
a
that.
reason to pick him
I
up.
see
So
that
my
vision,
question
yes.
is, what did you know about Govender's attitude or position towards Bevan that you found it necessary to give him that kind of warning?
Okay, what had happened, if I can just go into a bit of depth. Captain, far as I was concerned, because what was happening, I was concerned about Bevan's life now, because there were threats made against him. So I started conducting my own inquiries to see who Captain Govender really are. And then I established that after they had come there in December, obviously they didn't return until February. I established, from my police experience, the cases that were from Belair. As an experienced detective, I have an understanding of how it works. When you receive a docket for investigation, you have to, within 24 to 48 hours, you have to do some work on it. So if there's evidence in the docket, you'd obviously approach the accused person or the suspect in that matter. Should there be any witness statements, corroborating witnesses, etc. And I established that there weren't any of the above. So I took it from that is why Dina Governor and his team didn't return for Bevan, because had it been such a serious case, they would have been relentless to arrest him. Because I asked the question, why would a specially formed anti-gang unit go to a small station in an area and draw 2 attempted murder dockets, which the investigating officer hadn't pursued or made any attempt to contact the alleged suspect? So I thought it quite suspicious, why this can't be falling in their mandate. And then I established that Captain Govender was at Brighton Beach Station and at Winter Police Station trying to find dockets where Bevan is implicated, outstanding dockets. And the information I got from my sources was that Captain Varley was working with him, looking for dockets so that they can arrest him. So in my opinion, I was saying, if the cases were so strong against him, why are they going further to look for other dockets? So I was of the opinion that there was no real evidence to arrest Bevan on those 2 Belair cases. And then Bevan had issues with Captain Varley in the past. And just the fact that if he calls him, when he was a captain at Wentworth, Captain Varley was a captain at Wentworth Detectives. He was a group, because the detectives are divided into groups and they have a captain in charge of each group. There was an instance where Bevan was arrested with some of his friends for a firearm charge. Okay, I'll give a background of that. When they on the street, the tow trucks sit on what they call a patch, where they sit and wait for calls for accidents. It was late at night, and he says he was coming home, and a friend of his from the area asked him, where is he? So he indicated where he was, so he said he's going home. So the friend asked him for a lift home because it was on en route to Bevan, to us, where Bevan lived. And he knows the boy is naughty. So he said to him, there's a roadblock opposite the police station, went to the police station. He says, I'm going that way. If you have anything illegal on you, declare it now because I'm going through that roadblock. He says, and the guy said, no, he hasn't got anything illegal. So he says, when they got to the roadblock, just before the roadblock, the youngster says to him, hey, I've got a firearm on me. So Bevan said he told him, I'm not turning back now, because if I turn back, it look like I did something wrong, something to that effect. So there were 5 people in the vehicle, and everybody was arrested. So I got a call that he's arrested at Winter Police Station. I know most of the detectives at Winter Police Station because I worked with them. So I established who was on call and who would have the docket. So I made a phone call to say, what is the way forward, what's the charge, etc. So the detective said to me, no, I can come see him in the morning. So I said to him, look, must I get an attorney? He says, no, it's not necessary because he's going to be releasing them because there's no evidence. They can't place the docket, the fireman in anyone's possession. So fine, I went to the station on the Saturday morning and I spoke to the detective and he was now going to process all the cases that came on overnight. So he went to the cell. I followed him. I didn't go in. So he said to me, no, he's going to release them because Bevan and them were shouting and saying they don't know what they're going to do, etc. There's cameras in the cells. The policeman that was in charge, I won't say his name, he received a phone call from Captain Varley because he fell under Captain Varley's group. And he said to Captain Varley, he's releasing these guys because there's no evidence against any of them, and there's no chance of a successful conviction. The phone was on speaker. Captain Varley said to him, no, don't release Bevan. He's going to take that docket, and he'll handle the docket henceforth. So Bevan and him went to court based on that. He took possession of that docket as the investigating officer, which is not normal as the captain of the group to investigate the matters. And the matter, I'm not sure if it was thrown out or it wasn't placed on the roll. I need to confirm that. So Bevan had said, even in the conversation, when he phoned him, that's why I said to him, don't phone, because back to where we started, because Dina is after you and Varley is not a friend of yours. So let's leave it as it is, because based on my experience and my inquiries, there wasn't enough evidence in the docket to arrest Bevan. And when Bevan found that they were looking for him for these cases, he came to me and he said he related to me that, hey, there's 2 dockets that they're drawing at Belair for him to come and arrest him. And he said to me, I've got no cases, I don't understand this. And henceforth my inquiry started. I forget which number we were on. 51. Bevan nevertheless called Varley and asked him, Captain Varley, to stop harassing Hendrik Nunes, who was his driver and his manager at the time. The phone was on speaker so I could hear the conversation. Captain Varley wanted the bike released, but Bevan refused because he had released vehicles in the past on Varley's word that the client would pay, but the client ended up not paying. Bevan told him to stay out of his business and do police work. Bevan told him that they were both men, and the only difference was that Captain Varley has a badge.
Sorry, just on that last point, what did you make of that statement?
I want to elaborate on that. The words actually used was, look, Bevan was furious because he was under such pressure. He's getting pressure from these guys for a case he says he knew nothing about, and Varley now. So the words were something to the effect of, Varley, you're a man, I'm a man. You've got blood and bone, I've got blood and bone. You're a policeman, I'm not, you've got a badge. You do your police work and I'll do mine, stay out of my businesses. It was to that kind of effect, In other words, stay in your lane, I'll stay in mine,
Sure.
After calling Captain Varley, Bevan called Mr. Clive Nyker of Roadstar, towing again against my advice. The transcript of the call has already been referred to above and is GL2, as stated above. I have sent the recording to the Commission and I believe it will be played for all to hear. Again, this call was on speaker and I could hear the conversation. I wish to highlight that the following...
Sorry, just before that, I think I'd like to take up the chair's invitation to play the recording at this juncture. Chair, it seems that as it would happen, we
You
have
were,
some
you were
technical-
ready and raring to go quite some time back. Should we, let's just carry on, perhaps you'll come
Yes,
back
can
to
I
it.
request if indeed we get there, we'll
Yes,
play it. But
yes.
it's quite
And-
important for the context of,
all right,
I
all
think
right.
also for the question that was put to Mr. John. I don't know whether I can request because my colleague tells me.
I don't even think it's necessary for us to go to the transcript because we went through it and I think it was read into the record as well. We can proceed so long. I'm not saying you should not play when you are ready with it, we can always go back to it.
Can I perhaps just offer an explanation why I need to go to the transcript to explain?
I'm not even stopping you, but please, if you want to
Okay.
explain it.
It's because there was an issue about identification of Bevan and Mr. Naika, and Mr. Loftus was in that room, so I'd like him to explain, and perhaps if you have a question or the commissioners have a question, they can come from there.
Oh, so are you suggest, for example, in paragraph 52, just before the sub-paragraphs, Mr. Loftus says he wants to highlight something, and then we have the sub-paragraphs, which are what he highlights. Are you saying we should not even go there until we've played the recording?
Perhaps I just want, maybe, I don't know how the technical issues will be, but at this point, not to lose the point, I'd prefer that at least he explains 52.2.
Okay, maybe let's just go to paragraph 53 then. We'll come back to the recording and then Mr. Loftus's observations.
Before we move on 52, I didn't include it yet. Before Bevan made the call to Clive, I said to him, why I advised him against it, because I said to him, Clive is a powerful guy. They haven't got anything on you. He'll definitely open an intimidation case against you. I said you can guarantee that. And later on, okay, let me leave it there. I think I'll cover it later on, but I forgot to say that there. All right, and I'll explain further.
You said something similar about, I forget the rank, Officer Valley as well.
Captain Valley, yes.
Captain Valley,
yes.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
I just forgot to include it here.
All right, thank you. Let's go on to 53 then, if that's fine, Mrs. Kakan.
Thank you. Let's proceed to paragraph 50.
I point out further that just over 2 months after this call, Bevan was murdered by the SAP officers under the command of Captain Dina Governor in an operation led by him. On the 3rd of February 2023.
Just before you proceed to that, if you go to file, well, let's just stick to the same file, rather. In the founding affidavit to the application, paragraph 18, page 38 of the same file. This is the founding affidavit that you deposed to at paragraph 18.
Sorry, just say that again.
Can you go to page 38 of the same bundle?
38. Page 38, I don't see pages. You mean the ones that are written on the top in pen?
At the top in red.
Say the number, 80.
Paragraph 18, which should be at the bottom.
18.
18.
Okay, this one. The one that starts with on the Friday.
No.
No, it starts during 2022.
Yes.
Both Bevan,
I
red
think I'm a bit
38,
mixed up
red
here.
38 at the top.
38, just help me there. Thanks. Oh, okay, all right. Okay, can I go
Are
on?
you there? Can you just read that entire paragraph 18?
During 2022, both Bevan and myself received information that there was an assassination contract put on Bevan's life in an amount of 2.5 million. I also received information from a policeman I know that a hit on my son Bevan was genuine. The word was that I should be careful because if they cannot kill Bevan, they will kill my son Nicholas and myself.
Thank you. I just want to probe just two things there. So you, according to this, you received the information in 2022.
Yes.
Do you remember when about?
No, I can't remember.
And this information was in what form?
Verbal,
From a source.
from a source, yes.
And in terms of this, was it at the same time you at Bevan, or you received it separately from separate sources?
It was more or less around the same time. Yes, because we discussed it, yes.
So
I think the question is, was the source the same person?
No, it wasn't the same source. Mine was, if I can recall correctly, Bevan told me that the hit was put on him. And then we were discussing this all the time with people. It was a thing that was going on in the area. And then this friend of mine approached me and he said A, B, and C, which now corroborated with what Bevan had said to me.
I just want to make sure that I understand. So you're saying that Bevan tells you for the first time that this is in 2022,
Yeah.
that there is a hit on
Yes,
him.
yes,
And he tells you that it's for 2.5 million.
yes.
Does he say who it is, who's the person?
At that time, no. I don't recall that he said who was the person. At a later stage,
At a later
at
stage.
a later stage, the name came out of who it was.
Okay. And then you get information, or you confirm independently from a policeman.
Yes, that's correct.
And what was the discussion on that from that policeman?
Well, all the policemen in the area knew what was going on. So it was basically a straightforward conversation that be careful because there's a hit put on you. He had heard about it and he confirmed that it's true from his sources. It was a very short discussion.
And it was also, the confirmation did not mention the name.
No, at that stage, no.
Okay.
The name wasn't mentioned at that stage.
Okay. And in that, now that you know there's this thing, did you take it up with the authorities?
No, I did not. I did not. I can tell you why I did not, because I know the workings of the police, especially with our local police stations, etc. In my opinion, they're not equipped to handle issues such as these. They're really not. And a lot of the time it's because of lack of knowledge and also because of no interest. I've seen that while I was a policeman.
Just explain what you mean they are not equipped to handle matters like this. And I ask because when Mr. John was the IPID officer was testifying yesterday, and he said you went to court for an interdict.
Yes.
The question that I didn't ask, but that was in my head, was why would you not lay a charge of conspiracy to murder or to kill? Why didn't you lay that kind of complaint? So answer my question about why do you say the police do not have the capacity to deal with these kind of issues, together with my question, why did you not lay that kind of charge?
From experience, being in that environment, cases like that, people don't generally want to come forward, first of all, and give statements because they'll have to name names, etc. Secondly, there's also a lack of interest in pursuing cases that from the local police as well, detectives as well.
You say so even after you've had the telephone call between Bevan and Mr. Naika, which you have interpreted in a certain way as you were listening to it. You say there's an acknowledgement in that he doesn't deny that he's put a price for Bevan to be killed. Even with that information, you still say you couldn't lay a complaint.
I've spoke to some policemen regarding that that conversation, that transcription. None of those police even picked up what we did, that his name was mentioned without him saying his name, and it was only when the hit of 2.5 million was put on his head. They didn't pick that up, and they didn't pick up what I would call a motive, where he says, "You killed my uncle." They didn't even pick that up. I had to actually highlight it to them. This is not policemen at stations, people that I knew, policemen that I knew. There's really no interest there. If I can elaborate, when we work as detectives, complainants will walk into the charge office, and generally speaking, the charge office personnel, in my opinion, a lot of them are not equipped to even write proper statements. That I can tell you because I've witnessed it. We have to go and retake the statement. So a lot of the times, like what we did, we established what we call a crime office, so the detectives actually could interview the people, the complainants, and take the relevant statements in a proper manner. A lot of the detectives and the uniformed policemen, they've got this, I can call it a thing, where they say, kill the case. So when a complainant walks into a charge office, there's a persuasion, they try and persuade the complainants not to open a case. If you can understand what I say, they try and inform that they can't open a case because there is no case, etc., etc. They find some kind of way not to help them. I've witnessed it. So,
Thank you.
I'll elaborate a bit more. There were times when this started, where youngsters would be intimidated at the flats before it escalated. When I say flats, it's where we grew up in Reykjavik, where this cartel was operating. These youngsters, two of them that are deceased now, and Antonio was also deceased, they're from there, they were junior youngsters. They were being harassed, intimidated. I personally, and a lot of those youngsters had single-parent homes, single mothers. I was very well known in the area. So I took some of the mothers up to the police station and had a meeting with the station commissioner, with the mothers, to say, from experience, this is going to escalate. It's starting as threats and little assaults, but I explained how I could see this escalating from experience of the past. And there was no interest. We had those kind of meetings on about 2 or 3 occasions to try and get the station commander to intervene. I can't remember the station commander's name. He was a white gentleman. He actually said to me, and he sent me a document with the Intimidation Act, where he actually said the Intimidation Act doesn't exist anymore. So we did make efforts at that stage. So following that, there was no sense in going back there, because if the station commissioner could say something like that, there's no way that his juniors with no experience could pursue it.
Just 2 questions on that. One is, what is, I think a lot of your statement contained the words or the phrase that word in the street was, but I'd like to know, to explain what does that mean generally?
It's talk amongst people on the street, people, groups, just general talk. I mean, it's like social media. People thrive on activities or events that take place. So you pick up something that you hear and you pass it on like a grapevine story, you know, and that's how the word gets around in the street, you know. And it's a lot of the time what you hear is true. Not all the time, but a lot of it. And a lot of the time, some of what you hear is true and it leads to other things, you know. So it gives you some kind of something to grab onto, some of the stuff, and you can investigate. How investigation starts, and you can pursue whatever said, and you can actually find that a lot of it is true most of the time.
Okay. Then the second point is just to follow on what Commissioner Baloyi said, and what you then responded by, is that what do you think is the reason behind the police seeming apathetic or not willing or killing cases, as it were?
That's a tough one for me to say. I'm going to get into trouble for this. I think it's just laziness. That's what I believe.
Okay, thank you. Chairperson, I am advised that the sound is back. Can I request that we play that recording and then go back to the file, to the statement at page 15, paragraph 52.1, but we'll start with the recording.
The roadster, Mr. Clive himself. How are you?
Yeah, who's this here?
Like a lot of money, 2.5 on my head now, eh?
Who's this here? Who's this here? Evan, you?
Yeah, how you can
kill
phone
my
Dane?
uncle.
How you can phone Dane to tell Dane to set me up? You can Mr. The roadster. The roadster, Mr. Clive himself. How are you?
Yeah, who's this here?
Like a lot of money, 2.5 on my head now, eh?
Who's this here? Who's this here? Evan, you?
Yeah, how you can
kill
phone
my
Dane?
uncle.
How you can phone Dane to tell Dane to set me up?
I phone Dean. I don't even
Yeah,
fucking
me,
know.
I never ever fought with you. I got no problem with you, but look like you after me. You paying dinner, governor, you paying all the carols. You went back to do all these things to me. I never had nothing to do with you. I never minded your business. I got no flop with you. But Bali, you went out of your way to do all these things to me. You wanna kill me and all. What kind, Bali? Where's the numbers?
Are you making allegations against me, or are you telling me the facts?
I'm asking you, where's the numbers, Bali? I never do
Let's start
fuck all
off
to
now.
you.
Let's start off.
Check your word. I'm
Firstly,
fuck all to
you were
you.
telling the people I killed Regan.
See our Bali. See our checker. No flop. You wanna kill me, right? No flop. The fastest lives the longest. Right? Laka.
What's that?
Thank you, Commissioners. I think, I'm not sure whether it was audible enough for your purposes.
Yeah,
In any event, the transcript is
Yes.
at page 113, just to contextualize things. Now, this is the recording. Is this the recording that you were referring to earlier?
That's correct. That's the recording.
And at page 130, 113 is a transcript.
Yes.
Is that an accurate?
That's inaccurate.
Okay. And you were present when that call was made?
It was made presently. It was his phone was on speaker.
Okay. And what was the purpose of the call?
After he phoned Vali, or let me say before he phoned Vali, he was agitated and he was quite angry and he was under a lot of pressure because he was tired of this. You remember, he hadn't been out of the premises for a long time. Because when he heard that there's a hit on him, he said to me, they're not going to get me because I'm not going to leave the premises. So, like he says, he can't go out.
Sorry, just repeat that.
He couldn't leave the premises. He says he's going to stay in the premises because there's a hit on him, and if he stays at home, they can't get him. Henceforth, Hendrik Noonan ran the operation in the yard and on the street with the tow trucks, etc. So he was angry. So when Hendrik Nunes came over, he was on the phone with Vali. Vali phoned him a few times, harassing him about this motorcycle. So Bevan was agitated by that, so he said, no, I'm going to phone him. I need to put him in his place, kind of, He didn't use those words, but that was the gesture, so to say. And then afterwards he said, you know what? I don't know this Clive Nika. He says, I'm going to phone him and ask him why he's doing this to me. And that's where the phone call came from.
And where did he get the cell phone of Mr. Nika, if it is Mr. Nika?
Yes, to be honest with you, I was quite surprised that he could get the phone call, but he was resourceful. What happens, you get a tow truck driver that drives for the operators on the bluff. And from time to time, they jump areas and they go and drive in other areas. So obviously they make connections and friends with the guys that work for the different. So those guys have the contact numbers for their employees or their bosses. So he didn't tell me where it got, so I'm assuming that's how he got it. Because you hear conversations when guy would ask, one of the drivers would say, have you got so-and-so's number? Then he'll be like, no, let me phone so-and-so, and that so-and-so will phone so-and-so, and the number will come, or the information, so to say. Yeah, but I wasn't present when he actually got the number.
Okay. Yeah, I think I can't take that further with you as such.
Yes.
Then you confirm, or seem to confirm, that on the call was Mr. Nika on the other end.
Yes.
How do you come to that conclusion?
Well, look, okay, let me retract that. I can't say that it was him because I don't know him and I've never met him and I've never heard him speak. Based on the conversation and the phone call, I'm assuming that it was him.
And why is that?
Well, from the conversation, when Bevan called him Mr. Clive, Mr. Roadster, he acknowledges, he continues the conversation acknowledging, I would say that's an acknowledgement that it's him.
Do you know whether his company is Roadster?
Yes, I do know that he owns Roadster Towing.
Okay.
Okay. Can you then read paragraph 52.1, which are the points you wanted to highlight?
52.1.
Page 16 of your statement.
Page 15, yeah.
15.
Yeah,
One
okay.
five.
52.1.
Yes.
When he answered the phone, Mr. Clive Naika was not able to identify Bevan at first. As soon as Bevan mentioned the 2.5 million hit, Mr. Clive Naika instantly and immediately identified him. And the accused, let me say that again. He immediately identified him, Bevan, and accused Bevan of killing his uncle. When Bevan accused Mr. Clive Naika of paying Captain Dinner Governor to kill him, Mr. Clive Naika did not deny the allegation.
I want to take issue with that. I think you should listen to the recording in the context of everything that was said. Let me take you to page 113, 113. Read 113 at the top.
Okay, I've got it, Commissioner.
Yeah, the fifth entry where Bevan is speaking says yes, and then how you can phone Dane to tell Dane to set me up. Then the response by Captain Naika. I'm sorry, Mr. Naika. I phoned Dane. You see, even the fact that is asking a question there, I phoned Dane. It should tell you that implicit in that is, it may in a sense be a denial. I don't even effing know who Dane is, so it becomes clearer. I've never, so your source about me having called Dane to set you up, that's false. So that's a denial.
Yeah.
But let's go further down. So yes, it's not, it does not directly deal with the 2.5, but the context is the 2.5. And the setting up by Dane is in the context of the 2.5. So let's go further down. The long, there is what Bevan said there, the longest by him. He says, second last line, towards the end, you want to kill me and all that kind. And then the response by Mr. Naika, I don't. You want to kill me? I don't. Are you making allegations against me or are you telling me the facts? So when you look at all this in context, he actually did deny the allegations. It's on that basis that I say I take issue with what you say when you say he did not deny.
Sorry, I didn't hear that, Commissioner.
I'm saying it's on this basis that I say I take issue with your statement that Mr. Naika did not deny.
No, fair enough. That's the way it's read.
All
I
right.
accept that.
Chairperson, perhaps one has to understand the context of the issue, whether it's taken with whether it was not Mr. Naika on the other side, or whether it's a matter of having put a contract on his head. I just think we need to distinguish that for his purposes as well.
I'm just proceeding on the assumption that it was Mr. Naika. And what I'm addressing is the statement by Mr. Loftus that Mr. Naika, if it was Mr. Naika, did not deny the allegation. That's all I'm engaging Mr. Loftus on.
Sure. Chair, can I then take you to file 3? Page 118.
1181
at the bottom. Perhaps I have to identify what this is as a document entirely. It's an article that was published by the Daily Maverick were on the 29th of April 2023, and it follows the shootout, and we're still going to come to it about the relationship between drugs, tow trucks, and the gangs and the killings and the hits. But for present purposes, I'd like us to go to 1181, which is Clive Nika Speaks. If you turn over, there's a suggestion that Mr. Clive Nika was confronted with this allegation.
Where about at 1182?
I think it's the second. I think for context, I'd like to read the two paragraphs
Which ones are those?
at the top. So it says
The one
unquote,
starting Daily Maverick.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Just for the purpose of the record, can I ask the witness to read it?
And what is this? What did you?
Well, it's the point about whether Clive Nika denies
Okay.
that it was him on the call. And perhaps the point I'm trying to come across, to put across, is that he doesn't seem to deny that discussion, at least on the media reports. Also,
Please go ahead.
thank you,
Mr.
Chairperson.
Kakan.
Mr. Loftus, would I kindly request that you read that portion just into the record?
Which page is this, number?
Page 1182,
82, from the top.
from the top. Thank you.
Daily Maverick approached businessman Clive Nika, who described Bevan Loftus as an evil young man. I've only had 2 or 3 conversations with this evil young man. I don't know him. I have been in the towing industry for 14 years, and I am chairman of our Towing Industry Association. I have never had a confrontation with Bevan. Earlier this year, Bevan called me saying I wanted to kill him. I said I heard he killed my uncle, the tow trucker Elvis Raju in Asheville, earlier this year. I heard on the street that it was a case of mistaken identity, that I was meant to be the target of the shooting. Bevan ended the conversation with, let's see who dies first.
Thank you. I think I'd like to stop there. Chairperson, it's that evidence that I just want it to be there regarding Mr. Nika's, regarding whether it was him on the other line. And it seems to be consistent with the transcript and what the witness states and what is on the call.
Or which is that it was Mr. Nika.
Correct.
All right, thank you. Or this has nothing to do with whether there was or there wasn't a denial by Mr. Nika. It's just to show that
It's just to show.
it was Mr. Nika on the.
Yes, he confirms that, and he confirms the contents because you see where the last, not the last statement, it says, let's see who dies first.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I want to take with Mr. Loftus.
All right.
For me, it was just to place that before you, Commissioners.
All right. Thank you.
Then I will come back to this about this article later on after tea, but there is a statement or something that Bevan says when the call ends.
Yes.
And it is, I just don't want to rephrase it. It says, the fastest lives the longest. You recall that?
Yes, I
that
recall it.
sentence. What did you understand that to mean?
At first, I didn't know how to take it because I said to Bevan, I actually asked him, what did he mean by that and why did he say that? He offered no explanation. You know, he says he was angry, so he didn't even realize what he was saying, but he didn't offer any explanation.
And I'm just saying, what did you understand of it, that statement?
If I have to put my own interpretation into it, Clive being now the guy that wants to kill him, as he says in the conversation, so I would put it as to the fastest lives the longest, who gets who first. That's how I would interpret it.
Would it be accurate to characterize it as a threat?
You can characterize it as a threat. I can say that.
And you'll see the article, the Daily Maverick article at 1182 that you've just read. Mr. Naika is quoted as having said, Bevan ended the conversation with, let's see who dies first.
Are you asking which one is correct?
No, I'm going to come to the question. Okay. I'm asking whether you see that.
I see that, yes.
And would you say that is, I'm not saying it's word for word or it means entirely the same thing, but would it generally be along similar lines?
Yes, you can. I'd say you can equate it.
Okay, thank you. Chair, I see it's 5 to 11, but I would request that we take an adjournment at this opportune time rather.
Can I maybe ask two questions on the transcript, page 113? There's two references to what are the numbers Bali. What does that refer to or relate to? And it's Bevan who's asking this. He says Bali, where are the numbers? And later on, I'm asking you, where are the numbers Bali?
My own, I don't know I don't know if there's a meaning of it in the street, but if I had to interpret it, it would be, why are you doing this to that effect? You know, why are you doing this? Yeah, that's how I would interpret it. Yes.
Sorry, I just want to make sure that maybe that would be a follow-up. Now you've triggered it. As to what Bali, the name, what does that mean? Bali.
Okay, Bali means, like they call me Bali, an older person.
Older person?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Let's adjourn and resume at 11:30.
Thank you, Chair.